Welcome back to the UNprofessional Fives, episode 4, straight after an amazing game last episode where we saw Yuya Amura, the baby-faced assassin, score quite possibly one of the best goals we've ever seen at the Fives. On the blue team today, it is the first appearance of Cameraman, aka my co-commentator Steve Spiteri. We've got Joseph Willie Ferrari winger making his exciting return to the Fives, as well as Sledgehammer, TJ, and Franklin Sassere, who is a very exciting player that I'm happy to have involved in the Fives after playing in the Hungarian Premier League. On Team Red, we've got Pops, we've got the return of Tenorio, Donis Twinkle Toes Quintero, Charles Pickpocket Gandini, and Manuel Bustos, aka the Heartthrob. This is Manuel's first game now, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Got a lot of debuts today, and I think this game is guaranteed to give us some big moments. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I remember being this match. I remember how good and how competitive the match was. I'll try to be as unbiased as possible, seeing as I'm actually playing in this game. But yeah, we're in for a good one.
I think definitely there's big moments guaranteed when someone like Steve is in goal. He is not just good with the camera, he can do everything. He commentates, he camera works, he goalkeeps. It's going to be a good game. We see Manuel, one of the new faces and new additions, giving the ball to one of the other newer additions there, Franklin. Let's talk about Red Team for a little bit, first of all. So we've got the South Americans against Japan. Red Team, obviously the South American team, with the addition of Pops in goal. Pops, we know, is reliable. We've got Charles again, very defensive player, solid at the back. I think he's going to really be tested today against probably one of the best forwards that we've had included in the Fives so far in Franklin. Tenorio is one I'm excited to see. He was one of the best players in season 1. Unfortunately, I can say he wasn't 100% fit while he was here. And just like that, blue team off to a very, very good start. Catching everyone off guard there. Little run from TJ across, and TJ picks up from where he left off in season 1. He scored bags and bags of goals in season 1, and he's already scoring goals again. Yuya, obviously, we talked about being one of the star performers in the last game. In a more technical game, obviously today we've got a lot more strength, a lot more speed on the pitch. I think this is really going to test how he can handle himself in a big game situation. What do you think is going to happen today? As we avoid your amazing footwork there.
Yeah, we avoid my incredible control of the ball there. First time I'm touching the ball in the game, though, to be fair to myself.
Exactly.
No, I think you said it very well there, Dan. It's a different profile kind of game. It's a very balanced from both teams in both technical aspects and also strength and physicality. So we'll see how the game suits people like Yuya and Donis as well, who are usually very fast on their feet, very technical people. Maybe not too physical, but physical people around them, so they can take the brunt of that.
What I love is the style clash that you can get with the Fives. Obviously, we think of South American footballers, you think of that tiki-taka football, fast footwork, lightning passes, one-touch play, lots of movement off the ball. And obviously you look at the other team and the first thing you notice is the size difference right now between the two teams. You've got the likes of TJ and Franklin that are absolute specimen genetic freaks.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the red team keep up with that physical nature of the blue team, to be fair. And it doesn't really look like they are managing to keep up right now as TJ gets his second goal.
So that is proper target man play there from TJ. Just absolute strength. Receives the ball back to goal. Charles tries to get tight to him, spins him, pushes him off. That trademark TJ arm. The one thing you don't want to feel is as TJ gets past you, that long, powerful arm stretches out and just shoves you in the opposite direction. And wow, 3-0 in the first 4 minutes. TJ, all 3 goals, a hat-trick in 4 minutes. Possibly the quickest hat-trick we've seen in the Fives.
Probably, yeah.
Again, just the strength of TJ when he gets going. Players cannot get near him. Red team really need to figure it out and figure it out quickly here.
And to be fair to him, though, showing there that he's a lot more than just physicality, because that finish over there and also being able to capitalize on a misplaced pass Pushing off Charles though, as well, like in the previous goal. We've all seen Charles performing in the previous matches. We all know he's no slouch, so that should show you how good of a player TJ is.
Definitely, Charles is one of the better defenders that we have in the series. So for TJ just to ragdoll him like that and push him off, here he goes again, really finding success there, playing pin-up man, ball out wide to Willie, gives it back to Franklin. So Franklin obviously has previously played in Malta with the likes of Hammer and Spartans. I think he scored something like 25 goals in 2 seasons, was one of their leading goal scorers, helped them win the championship in the Premier League. Before earning moves to countries like Switzerland. He's played in Hungary and really carved out a good career for himself abroad. He is actually back in Malta now, and I can reveal that he has signed with Floriana, teams, making his return to the Maltese Premier League. Much to everyone's surprise, I think that is a massive signing for Floriana. And you can see just how fast and fluid he moves with the ball. Doesn't strike you as your typical big man. The footwork and ability he has on the ball is one of his standout features. So graceful the way he glides with it, but the strength that he has while he's gliding with it makes him such a dangerous customer to try and take the ball off of. Definitely going to be a problem for Premier League defences this season.
For sure. And we've said the same thing about Mish in the past, about his size and the way he moves, not translating exactly together. They don't make sense, but Franklin is just an even better example of that. And we see Don is getting his first goal now.
Yeah, there's your clean sheet gone, Steve-O.
Well, I mean, it is five-a-side. It's very difficult to get a clean sheet. I was a bit like let down by a misplaced pass as well, but Don is definitely finishing it perfectly.
Yeah, Donis finds the corner very well. Definitely sold you a little bit by opening his body, making it look like he was going to go to the opposite corner. But I think defensively, just blue team switched off a little bit there. Maybe the fact they were 3-0 up in 4 minutes probably went into cruise control a little bit. I know Yuya starts to switch off a little bit, and obviously the rest of the team make sure he stays alert when you're playing with the likes of Willie. They definitely will tell you if they want you to work a bit harder.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I mean, with any team, if you are winning with a 3-goal buffer, it's very easy to just sit back a little bit and try more daring and experimental approach. But that also leaves the trailing team a bit more space to get back into it, as we're seeing. So it will be interesting to see if the red team manage to drag themselves back to 3-3 or potentially even winning.
I think the red team in general, you've got a lot of previous teammates on the same team here. I know the likes of Donis and Manu are very close friends outside of the Fives. Donis and Charles both spent 2 years together at Fgora United in the Challenge League. So there's a lot of chemistry between them, and I think once they start to click, it's going to help them try and get back into the game. They're still trying to find their rhythm, find their feet. But you can see slowly the game is starting to come into their favour. They're starting to get that flare out and move the ball quicker. Tenorio's a player we really need to see kick into gear in this game. He is their goal scorer on the team for a reason. He scored something like 21 goals in 5 games, I believe, in season 1. Honestly, was one of the deadliest players in the series and was someone I was really excited to have back. And Manu almost squeezes one in there, but Yuya comes back and clears it off the line.
Yeah, we definitely need to see red team kicking a bit more into gear. I think till now Donis and Pops are the most alert players, even though Pops has had 3 goals scored against him. But also has to be said about Pops, he was also coming back from an injury, and this I remember him telling me was the first game where he was feeling like he was back, like getting back to how he was as his old self. So definitely we're going to see him move more fluidly as well in goal.
It will be a good sight to see, because obviously we have seen in recent weeks Pops has been carrying that shoulder, almost looking like it's been dislocated, but he does seem to be moving a bit more sprightly today, and for the rest of the series it'll be good to see him being able to compete and try and win the coveted title of best goalkeeper, and maybe even MVP of the series, because we have seen that the goalkeepers are starting to make their way up the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's good to see keepers creeping up into the leaderboards for MVP as well.
I believe Pops is currently second. Fifth.
Okay, fifth. Yeah, because Reese is third.
Reese is third, and I believe Pops is sat in 5th place at the moment.
Yeah, but it's interesting. There are 2 keepers from the top 5 for MVP. So as many good goals as you're going to see, as many defensive like tackles you're going to be seeing, the keepers are also getting a say in the MVP.
And it's passes like that is making Pops so lethal. And just like that, what a goal. 3-2, red team right back into the game. Pops with a cutting pass there, takes 3 players out of the game. Donis just uses his composure to put the ball through the legs of Willie. Back post, like we've always said, second post is so deadly. Manu has near enough an easy goal there.
For sure, yeah.
With you scrambling across the other side to try and close the angle, it's very much an opportunity just to slot it into the empty net.
Yeah, that's why we always say that the second post is always the surest thing in these small format games, because you're going to get the keeper scrambling, you're going to end up one-on-one with him, even if the keeper does manage to set up himself properly for the shot. So then it's either placed perfectly, just as we've seen Manu do over there, and we all know that Manu is capable of doing these things, or else the keeper is just going to be scrambling and not even in position.
As we see Tenorio getting absolutely bullied off the ball there. Blue team on the attack, and can they create a chance to double the lead again and get back in front by a comfortable lead? TJ is going to be the one to do it as he smashes it into the leg of Pops there. Good save from Pops. And just highlighting why he's nicknamed Sledgehammer there. TJ, absolute missiles of a shot. Never takes the safety off. Always hits 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, we've seen him both being physical while he's on the ball, off the ball, in shooting and passing. TJ just seems to be a complete physical player, but he has a technical side to him as well. When we see him skipping players, even though it just looks like he's running fast, there's a lot of unseen, like, I think, work which goes under the radar of him doing feints, touching the ball in such a way to take it away from the player because he knows he's faster than them. It's shaping up to be quite a good game till now, Dan.
Yeah, so far we've got, like I said, a clash of 2 styles, and it's so far even, which is what we like at the Fives. We don't like one-sided games. And this looks like it's going to go right down to the wire, as Blue team again carrying the ball out with Franklin, just twisting and turning, wriggling his way. He brings a lot of attention over to himself, doesn't he? You see when he gets the ball, the team is often sticking 2 players on him to try and cover over, which is always going to open up more space for other players on the team.
Yeah, I think the red team have been made wary of both TJ and Franklin till now by the way they're linking up, and Franklin's hold-up play is just, I think, one of the best that we've seen till now in all of these episodes. Manu there, not exactly sure what he's complaining about.
Both players want the free kick. Obviously, Manu in possession. I'm always going to favour the player that's in possession.
Definitely, yeah.
So we settle for a red free kick, much to Willie's dismay, who for the whole series has been adamant that I'm against him.
But it's things like this where it's a 50-50 and then you just don't side with him, I think. He does tend to he gets stuck into a lot of 50-50s, him being the type of player that he is. So if he is defending and you're giving preference to the person in possession, then unfortunately these decisions that will go against him.
I can confirm, Willie, if you're watching, I do not have an agenda against you. You are a good friend of mine. Tenorio on the ball, dispossessed by Yuya. Ball
Very
back out to Yuya. Lovely little 1-2 between him and Franklin, who seem to be linking up quite well in these early stages of the game. We've got 4 minutes remaining of the first half. What are your thoughts so far on the game?
Till now it's shaping up to be very, very balanced. As you said, it's a different style of play. Franklin and TJ are, I think, still warming up over here. We still have a lot to see from them. But Red Team really seem to be getting into the shape of things. If Donis and Manu manage to link up properly and Charles actually gets back to the form we've seen him in other games, but it's proving to be a bit difficult because of the physicality he's facing right now. But Donis and Manu, I think, are definitely the stars of the Red Team.
Tenorio on the ball. He's been robbed by both Yuya and TJ capitalises. That's his 4th goal of the game.
Just like that, four goals for the Blue Team. TJ.
TJ calling me out there, telling me I need to watch the game more because I've not been calling the little fouls that Blue Team want. But as he cruises through there, lovely finish again. Like I've always said, TJ is such a complete player when it comes to five-a-side. He can defend, he can attack. The physicality that he brings and the pace that he sets of the game, it's so difficult to play against him.
Yeah, I think everyone in the Blue Team is just making it very hard to play against because they're just all very well-rounded players, all complete players. But yeah, I think there's a lot more to this game than what's happened till now.
I think the second half is definitely going to be very telling whether Blue Team can sustain the pace that they're playing at the moment. And if they can, I think Red Team are going to fade out quite quickly into the second half. as the speed of the game just gets the better of them.
Potentially.
And red team are really going to have to try and get a hold of the ball and manage possession a bit better. I think they're giving away the ball a bit too easily, a bit too cheaply, trying to rush attacks, and it's playing into the favour of blue team, to be honest. Blue team are quite happy just to let them come at them and then counter attack.
Of course. Yeah, it's again the contrast of the two styles. The blue team are very happy to just soak up all of that pressure because they're physical enough to actually soak it up.
So Tenorio going into this game actually ended up having a small back injury, which is why we're not seeing the Tenorio of season 1. You can see he's moving around a little bit stiff around the pitch. He's a bit slow on the ball. And it's a shame because, like I've mentioned 2 times already, Tenorio really is an exciting player, and I'm excited to see what he does this season. Obviously in the last season he just played, he was with Malta and was their main striker. Again, a good season for him, lots of goals, and he's going to keep building on that profile that he has in Malta of being a tricky winger, fast-paced, can play up front as well, and brings a lot of goals to the game.
No, he definitely does look like he has all of those traits, but as you said, he's moving a bit gingerly, potentially because of that injury. But this is a very good game, I think, for him to get back into it. It's going to be... He has to pick it up a little bit, I guess, because red team are feeling a bit let down. They're still 4-2, but we've seen the blue team already stand down from the red team and giving them space to get back into it. So unless blue team don't give them that space, we're not going to see red team getting back into it.
It's little 1-2s like that is making it so hard for red team to try and stay in the lead. And blue team on the ball. It's the final play of the game. If the ball goes out now, it will be half-time. Willie comes through and Donis makes the block, and we're through to half-time. So looking at the goals on the screen so far, obviously we've just seen a bit of a riot from TJ early on. 4 goals in the first half, 3 goals within the first 4 minutes. Red team really asleep at the beginning of the game.
Definitely. And the blue team could have capitalized even more because we saw Charles with a goal line clearance as well towards the end of the first half, where Pops had already completely missed the ball. But Charles clearing it, so saving them from potentially even more of a discrepancy going into the second half.
So far we've seen a solid display from you, Steve-O. What were your thoughts at half-time actually playing in the game?
At half-time I was still trying to get into the game. It was a lot of communication with TJ and with Willie. They do talk a lot and they do communicate a lot on the pitch, and if you don't do as you want on the pitch, then it does make them a bit more riled up, which is great. I prefer players playing like that because it makes you get into the game and it makes you want to score more goals, which is probably why we're going to see TJ score even more goals in the second half.
I think obviously we know both of them are demanding players. TJ is a little bit more ferocious in the way that he demands effort from his players. Willie's a little bit more soft-spoken. Playing with them can be difficult at times because they really do want the best out of you and expect a very high level from you. Any mistake, they're quick to remind you of how to play and how to keep the ball simple because they don't want to give away the ball in stupid areas.
Definitely. Those are just the standards which they're expecting of players and the standards which they play at. But that's the standard of these games, and that's how it should be as well. Everybody should be communicating freely, and potentially that's why you're seeing Willie and TJ communicating and linking up so well on the pitch, and they back up what they can they can talk the talk and they can walk the walk as well. We've seen TJ with 4 goals, we've seen Willie defending to his utmost, so yeah, they can speak all day long.
One thing that I've noticed is the contrast in goalkeepers at the moment. Obviously the styles, both of you being futsal goalkeepers in Pops and Steve-O. But I really put Pops on the red team because we know from previous episodes and previous seasons that Pops likes to come out, he likes to get on the ball and be in possession and be the 5th man in possession, but we've not seen too much of it so far today. I think that's really letting the red team down. He was there to join them and make that 5th player so that they can play intricate passes and use the space to create more. Obviously you yourself, you're more of a traditional shot stopper.
I am, yeah, for sure. Pops is more of a sweeper keeper kind of keeper. I do enjoy staying on the line, especially if the game is quite close and even one mistake can lead up to a goal. So I'd rather stay there and not risk conceding.
It's one of the things I've always liked about you as a goalkeeper is you know what your limitations are, you know what your strengths are, you don't try to overcomplicate your game. and you are a very reliable set of hands in the net, and you don't try to overcommit to coming out and trying to do too much, which makes you, like you're doing there, closing the angles in the right spaces, making the saves, and that's a reason why Red Team have only scored 2 goals so far.
Yeah,
Good performance from you so
Willie has
far.
been defending well, but thanks for the praise, Dan. I'll take that all day long too. I think it's been a good performance from both myself and from Pops till now. Pops is being a bit let down defensively, unfortunately. But yeah, I think Pops will come out more of his line in the second half, especially if the lead increases. Red Team will definitely have to rely more on Pops. But we've seen the opposing team in other games capitalizing on that, so potentially the lead would get even bigger then. We'll have to see how it plays out, I guess.
I think 5 minutes into the second half, and it's been much of the same in the first. Nothing changed just yet. Blue Team still look a little bit in control of the game. Red Team slowly growing into it, but just not showing enough to really challenge and put any pressure on Blue Team. I think Blue Team look quite comfortable right now, just moving the ball around well, shielding it in the right areas. Red Team really need to step into the next gear, and soon, if they're going to start to get their way back in. Donis is going to be the player to do it as he rattles the underside of the crossbar there. Very unfortunate not to get the goal, but now we see Blue Team on the attack. Franklin cuts back on himself, and just like that, the lead has increased by another goal. Lovely little fake shot there from Franklin, just a wrong foot Donis, and the goalkeeper reverses Pops in the goal, and that's a clinical finish from a very decorated striker.
Yeah, ridiculous finish for what would be considered quite far out for a five-a-side game. Flat-footing Pops, sending Donis the wrong way too with the tackle, or with the block for the shot. That was quite a good goal to now. Not exactly the most flashy of goals, but a very technical goal. There's a lot of this underrated, unseen work going on in this game, which I think needs to be appreciated for sure.
Exactly, this is definitely a game that position-specific players can analyse and take a lot of positives from. You look at the hold-up play from the strikers, you look at the movements and the way they commit players, you look at the technical footwork of the likes of Donis or Yuya, you look at the way Charles is defending and trying to shield the ball and stop the big players from turning. There's a lot of things that you can watch here and really see high-level football at work.
Yeah, it's a very easy game to analyse just because of all of this work which is happening both on and off the ball. And it's stuff which I think some players take for granted occasionally because they would obviously expect that standard from anyone on the pitch, so it must be very difficult to balance out these games now when you're making the teams to make sure everyone is always on the same page.
Yeah, believe me, the matchmaking is always the most challenging part of these games when you've got 10 world-class players all on the same pitch trying to find the right combination to produce not only the best game but the most equal game, because no one ever wants to play a game where it's just 10-1 or 10-0. So
that's it.
The balancing is always the hardest part. You're there capitalising on a rare mistake from Pops in possession.
Yeah, but it was also the first time that Pops has properly come off his line and actually played the flank keeper role. And as we were saying before, how easy it is, it's a very high risk, high reward kind of play.
Small switch off there, and Yuya, the baby-faced assassin, punishes. That's exactly why he is called the assassin. Strikes you when you're least expecting it, and a lovely little reverse around the corner there. Really should be a goal, but TJ has absolutely rattled the post for about the 6th time this game already. Really finding his range. Good save from you there to prevent the back heel there. That would have been a lovely goal from Manu had he pulled that off.
Would have potential for the goal of the game, I guess. Manu's going to be quite frustrated when he's watching this back.
Game is slowly getting more and more physical. I think you're starting to see that Southern American aggression coming out now as the frustration is starting to sink in for Red Team, who it's just not clicking. 4-goal deficit is making the game look very out of reach for the final 10 minutes. I don't think they're challenging enough to really make this game get any closer. So we will see how the game goes for the final 10. Donis really is going to be the shining light here as he absolutely bursts through, plays it across. And Tenorio just isn't there to apply the finish. But Donis, again, like we've said, the creator of the series so far, he really needs to try and get on the ball and do that twinkle toe magic to try and get his team back into the game.
Yeah, Donis is that type of player who's just going to try and rally the troops back to the victory. He's a player who hates losing. I've played with him before, both in these games and previous games. He's definitely that type of player. And there's just something not clicking with the Red Team. it's very difficult to put your finger exactly on what it's not, because it's not just one specific thing. I think it's just a combination of small things which blue team are just capitalizing on every single thing right now.
Lovely pass there from Donovan, and just like that the game's opened up. Charles on the ball, plays it across, and Tenorio, this is the sort of thing that in season 1, I'm telling you, he buries it. He scored chip goals, he scored rifled shots into the corners, acrobatic efforts, really was a complete finisher. And it doesn't look like it's clicking for him right now, does it? You can see all his touches a little bit slow there, even Willie going and using his speed just to take the ball off him, catching him by surprise. Definitely, just by the way he's moving, you can see he's not quite...
Yeah, there's something off. There's something off for sure. He's not quite at the level, I think, of some of the other players on the pitch. Not speaking about him as a player in totality, just about him in this game, because I've seen him play in other games as well, and I've heard a lot about him from yourself, Dan, too. And he does sound like, on his day, very ridiculous and almost unplayable. But in this game, he's just trying to grow back into it and get back into the flow of things.
I know he was a member of the Maltese Football Players Association camp as well, so he had been doing a lot of training over the summer along with the camp, the Fives, and trying to manage some other things as well. So maybe just a little bit overworked.
Yeah, that would definitely take its toll on any player, let alone if you're also coming back from an injury. So maybe if we see him in other games, then maybe we're going to see the actual image of Tenorio, but in this game it's just not clicking for him.
Yeah, I think definitely a shadow of the Tenorio we're used to seeing. Willie, however, is showing a maturity that we haven't seen from him previously. I think that time in Portugal, he's obviously just spent the season playing in Paredes in Portugal. And honestly, I think it has really matured him as a player. You see in this defensive display from him today, he's been all over the pitch, dictating the play like a point guard in basketball, carrying the ball out from the back, setting the plays, dictating the play. Really, really good display from Willie today. I'm really impressed and really looking forward to seeing what's next for him. He's still a free agent as of the time we're recording this, so I'm sure he will get picked up before the season begins, but I'm very excited to see what he can bring to the table this year.
Yeah, he's definitely been the leader of this team. I remember him in this game just constantly talking, giving directions to everyone, arguing with anyone who doesn't make the run which he expected, but also being very humble in his approach when for example, TJ would be expecting him to make a run and he wouldn't have made it.
And let's just have a moment of silence to appreciate that lovely bit of footwork there to sell Manu.
I mean, I think it was more of a body feint rather. It was more the non-footwork which was expecting the pass.
Fake shot, claim it, bro, claim it. That was absolutely sensational to send him flying past you.
Yeah, there was quite a lot of pressure on the ball at that point. Red team were building up, and I think I just needed to get Manu out of the play at that point.
Blue team seeing out the final 3.5 minutes here, in control of the game. Red team still just chasing, don't really look like they get their foot settled from the beginning, defending for their lives a lot of the time. And the final 2 minutes, let's see if they can get a little bit of pride back as Tenorio is on the ball, tries to flick it wide and it touches the net. We've seen a lot of free kicks today, mainly because of the slide tackling rule. Obviously, we have introduced into season 3 that there are no slide tackles, so you will see a lot of free kicks given throughout the series as players go to ground to try and tackle the ball, especially the likes of TJ, who played in season 1 where obviously slide tackles were allowed and is still trying to adjust to the new rule set and is not enjoying the fact that I keep pulling him back and giving free kicks to the other team. Tenorio on the ball here, trying to work a little bit of space down the corner, but he is isolated by himself there. And red team just not moving anymore, right?
No, red team seem to have given up. I think that 4-goal deficit is just taking a toll on them mentally. They've been trailing through the whole game. So it seems like everything which they've tried hasn't worked till now. So I guess now they're just playing with their heads down. Just let's see the game through and try and minimize the discrepancy as much as possible.
And that's one sight you don't want to see is a full speed Franklin or TJ driving at the heart of the defence there. So hard to take off the ball. Lovely little play here from the red team. finally starting to use a little bit of flair to get the ball through the lines and play on the counter-attack, which is what they need to do more of. Charles down the line, tries to play the shot at the near post. You've made the save well, and TJ's just going to carry that ball out confidently. And we get to see a lovely little bit of footwork here from Yuya. Plays the ball to the other side of the pitch. TJ just can't quite keep it in. Maybe a bit of fatigue starting to kick in now for blue team. They have been playing the game at such a high pace. We expected them to fade towards the end of the game. They've lasted longer than I thought they would, to be honest. And it's really caused a problem for red team.
No, fading in the 38 minutes is very understandable from a 40-minute game. Both teams have been playing to their utmost. Have been very physical all the time, and getting a goal back right at the end.
Last minute, red team sign off the game with a goal. This is how they need to really have been playing the whole game. You see the movement there, Donis going from left to right and then opening up the space, carrying on his run around the back of the defence. Manu playing the outside of the foot pass. Tenorio going to the back post. This is where they're dangerous, and this is where they need to have been playing much earlier in the game.
Definitely, red team have realised that blue team have slowed down a little bit and have fatigued, so they're not making runs as quickly as before. So they're trying to capitalise on that, but unfortunately a bit too late in the game.
Yeah, a little bit too little too late. Ball played out off the post. Comes across to Donis, he's going to keep it in, plays it across, and there's a little bit of pride restored in the final minute. 2 goals for a red team, catching blue team asleep. But I think blue team at this point, with a 4-goal deficit in the final 30 seconds of the game, you know you've really won. I don't think they've really seen the game out, but they knew that the game was already done.
No, we could see Franklin and TJ both ball watching in that last goal. They knew they were going to win, and 3 of the 4 goals from the red team have come from those passes just across the face of goal, just cutting it back, either onto the second post or cutting it back away from where the keeper would be blocking the shot. So they definitely did get some joy from playing that way, but I mean, they figured it out too late in the game.
I mean, we're seeing some of the goals on replay now on the screen, and like you said, a lot of them simple goals played across the box. Again, this is when you start to get to that professional level. Players start to understand how easy it is to score when you make the right decisions, and decision making is so important. Just to play the right pass, make it easy, take the goal and move on, not try to do anything too fancy. The likes of Donis, the likes of TJ, just knowing when to play the pass.
Well, knowing when to play the pass, and also knowing and having trust in your team and the other players around you, that they are going to be in the position to actually receive that pass.
Speaking of TJ, Man of the Match has been announced. TJ is the winner of the Man of the Match, episode 4. I think well deserved. 4 goals in the first half definitely is what the difference making was of the game overall. I think his pin-up play was superb today, 10 out of 10. And he just proved such a reliable outlet for the blue team at all times. Whenever there was pressure, they could find him back to goal. And we're going to see a few replays of some of his actions today. 4 goals, 12 defensive plays, 22 points total. Just a physical dominant display from TJ.
Yeah, no assists, showing how selfish he is in front of goal. But that is the way in which you're going to get 4 goals, I guess, and how you're going to start climbing up the charts for most goals scored throughout the season.
Exactly, definitely a contender. I think is going to be up there in the charts, and goal of the game has been announced as well, and Tenorio is going to win goal of the game, and it's going to be for the lovely tiki-taka goal scored towards the end of the game there. Not really doing it justice by not showing the full passage of play, but from start to finish, from goalkeeper to Donis to Charles back to Manu to Donis to finally played across the box for Tenorio just to get the slight tap in. So a little bit unfortunate for Donis or Manu, who obviously played the biggest part in the goal. They're not going to pick up the points for the goal of the game. Obviously Tenorio picks up the points for being the one to put it in the back of the net. But overall, great team goal there, and I think well deserved when looking at the rest of the goals. I think the rest of the goals in the game, there was nothing too spectacular. Maybe Franklin's effort could have been in consideration as well, or TJ's pin-up play, this one here on the screen right now, as he spanned Charles and blasted it into the top corner.
I mean, when you have a technical game, then you are going to get some goals which are less interesting than others because you're just working so hard to get those goals. And we've seen a lot of technical goals, not a lot of very flashy goals. But from the goal of the match, every player from red team had a touch on the ball, and it was pretty much just one touch, tiki-taka, both diagonal passes across the pitch, completely taking out the whole team and myself, who tried to tackle Donis when I saw him trying to make that pass as well, just not fast enough. And that no-look pass from Manu, has to be said, I think was the pass of the game as well, if we were giving awards for that too.
Yeah, real beautiful effort there as a team. Obviously, we usually give the goal of the game to solo goals or individual efforts that are spectacular. So a little bit of love shown here for the team goals that sometimes go a little bit under the radar. Let's take a look at some of the stats then. Obviously, leaderboards are the most important thing when it comes to the Fives. And let's see how they've been affected after game 4. So we've got Donis still on top of the assist charts, 10. He picked up, I think, an assist or two today, proving provider. And because of the absence of Gianluca, Mish and Luca, he's really created quite a healthy lead at top now.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very hard for anyone to catch up with him, seeing that he has twice as many assists as the person in second, as Gianluca. But we've seen his prowess in assisting as well, being the assist for the goal of the match very consistently in most of the episodes now as well. And we just saw it now in this one, assisting Tenorio to get his goal too.
Speaking of being double on top of the player behind you, the goal scoring charts unmoved right now with Gianluca on top, Mish in second. The only new addition is creeping in at the bottom of the leaderboard. There is TJ with his 4 goals. Much like Andre in the game before, 4 goals does get you into the charts right now, and that's a very good performance from him that's earned him his first appearance on the goal scoring charts. Let's see if he climbs higher throughout the weeks. Definitely someone to keep your eye on. If he can refine the form of season 1, which it looks like he has so far, then definitely he's going to be in contention for a lot of leaderboards this season.
Yeah, 4 goals in one game definitely is a very impressive feat, both from Andre and from TJ in this game. If they do sustain the way that they've been playing in these past 2 episodes, they will definitely creep up and give competition to Gianluca at the top.
Best defender, we've seen a new leader emerge as Charles #pickpocket takes over, fitting for his name. He's now in the lead with 48 over Luca, who's currently on 40. The pair of them starting to create a bit of breathing room from the rest of the players in the series. We've got 3 players tied for 5th place or 3rd place, however you want to see it, on 28 defensive plays. But Charles definitely really starting to show how good he is at defending.
No, his defensive prowess has been a highlight of any match that he's played in, and he had a lot of work cut out for him in this game as well, playing against the types of players like Franklin and TJ. Even though he did get bodied off the ball sometimes, he did steal the ball a lot from TJ and from Franklin. So seeing all of these defensive duties from Charles and the red team still losing this time, who knows what the discrepancy of the goals would have been without him in their team.
Looking at goalkeepers, we've got Pops on top, ringing it home in the picture beside him. 48 saves in total. Andrea on 39, Reese on 37, and cameraman, my co-commentator, adding his name to the list. And your name's probably going to stay on there for the rest of the series, right? Only
Potentially,
5
yeah,
goalkeepers
I think so.
Took part in total. So, Steve, we'll see if you can climb higher or whether that's your only appearance of the season. Time will tell as we go through the series. We might need another last-minute replacement where cameraman drops the camera duties and removes, like Superman, the goalkeeping costume from underneath his cameraman outfit and steps into the net. I mean, you were a key player for your team today, made some very good saves that denied red team a chance of getting back into the game. So definitely a good performance from you, even though maybe in comparison to some of the other goalkeepers, 14 saves compared to some of the 25s that Reese has put up on the board. I think the game was a different kind of game today, not as many shots on goal, more of a display in the middle of the pitch, trying to win possession, and maybe the goalkeepers weren't called into action as much, but when you were called into action, you showed that you were equal to the efforts.
Yeah, and that's one of the most important things. As you said, it was more of a technical game today, so it was being played out more by the on-field players. A bit of a meager display, I guess, from myself now, seeing on the leaderboards. But yeah, I mean, as we said before, I'm also a different style of keeper to some of the other keepers in the leaderboards. So if I do manage to get some volume through games, then maybe I'll start climbing up. But until then, it's me at 14.
Looking at the overall MVP list, which is the most coveted award you can win in the Fives. That's all the points tallied together. We're looking at Gianluca still on top with 53.5 points. Luca Gat on 42. Donis climbing higher with 40. Yuya, again, another good performance from him, puts him on 35. And Charles, that defensive display today definitely earned him a lot of points and got him onto the board. All the goalkeepers are gone. After week 4, outfield players starting to take back over. But next week, we have the return of Reese's Pieces and Andrea, who both are going to have a good chance to try and get themselves higher on the leaderboards. And looking ahead to next week's episode, I can confirm we have the arrival of Starboy, Keon Iwurum, really talented 17-year-old. And let me just tell you, you don't want to miss this next episode. He absolutely lights the game on fire, and this is definitely going to be a breakthrough season for him. In the previous season, he played with Valletta in the Premier League, made his debut at 16 years old, and managed to record 11 appearances in the Premier League, scoring 1 goal and making 1 assist. And I'm going to spoil it a little bit for you. This guy's one to watch. He is the complete player of technical flair, confidence, real bright spark in Maltese football, and definitely one to keep your eyes on moving forward into the future. So make sure you tune in next week, episode 5 of the Unprofessional Fives, and you're going to get to see Starboy arrive for the first time, as well as the likes of the baby-faced assassin, Ferrari winger, the heartthrob, Sledgehammer, the poacher, and Gatman. So a lot of movement can be expected on the leaderboards in the next episode, so definitely one to keep in touch with. And Steve, you got any final thoughts before we sign out?
Yeah, mostly just looking forward for next week's episode, to be honest. As you said, Keon, ridiculous player on the pitch, amazing. So definitely if you need an excuse to tune into next week's episode, I would just come back just to watch him perform on the pitch.
Right, guys, if you have enjoyed the episode, make sure you leave a like, comment down below who your favourite player of the series is so far, and let me know if there's any other players in Malta that I should be considering for the next season of the Unprofessional Fives. Make sure you subscribe to the Unprofessional Footballer YouTube channel and check us out on all the social medias in the links and description below. And that way you can keep up to date with all the different projects that are going on, such as the podcast, the Fives, the coaching page, and everything else that is under the Unprofessional Footballer umbrella. We've had a great time on commentary, and we are about to record next episode. We can't wait, and we will see you there.